Good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name is Mona Loy at Blackbright News. And Blackbright News, as you probably know by now, is a periodical publication. It comes out in hard copy once a year, but I do electronic copies that I put on issue every 6 months, every 3 months, depending on the vibe. www.issuu.Blackbright News if you want to have a look and see what kind of topics I cover. But needless to say, the common denominator is that it's Black centered and it affects Black people and issues and circumstances that impact on Black people. Anyway, today I decided to look into the survival of Black people because there's a majority of them who have a mindset that is very self-limiting. Well, how can I put this? I can't put this in a very nice way, but anyway, needless to say, we are constantly reminded about the influence of slavery and how it has impacted us and generations now and generations before. People will say to you, what is it about slavery? Why you keep harping on about it? And it happened so many years ago. Why does it impact you now? Why do you keep referring to it? The answer to that is that we have people out there who are still living off of the accumulated wealth from slavery, and Black people, regardless of how they try, those who do try, are still being held down by the system. And this could be economically, in the sense that you don't get equal pay for a fair day's job. And there's a lot of different ways where Black people feel as though they're not being treated in the same way. And you'll get people who argue that if you do this, or if you do that, you will get by and stop being a victim, and look at people like Oprah Winfrey and look at people like all these other people who are big and famous. You will also find that those who are big and famous, especially people, I don't know whether they're right or wrong, but you'll find rich Black people who have reached the top, who have been brought down through one way or another, whether it's accused of something and found to be not guilty, but all the money that they've spent in trying to defend themselves has really taken a toll on them. So, Black people are in a situation where some of them just feel defeated. Some of them just think, I just cannot be bothered. I cannot try. I'm just going to get through this life as best as I can. You have others who are still trying but don't want to push the boat out too much because they don't want to get any repercussions. And then you have a minority which speak but don't have no actions behind it. And I think that's that minority. But you can break Black people down into different categories. You can break them down into the young people who are tired of going for jobs and not getting them. You can break it down to those who have taken on criminal activities to survive. You can break it down to those who work the 9-to-5 jobs. You can break it down to those who are the blue-collar workers who do the menial tasks, which are being automated, and so they end up out of work. And you can break it down to those people who are just about keeping their head above water, and then a very, very small minority of rich people who have got there through entertainment and sports. Now, but how do the Black people survive in a system which appears to be against them? And it appears to be against them because of the mindset. The mindset is still confined, and like I said, there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that make them feel as though they cannot succeed, when in fact they can. If they stopped giving away their resources, I mean, number one, the blacks are nearly good at everything that they do. Anything a black person puts his mind to, he can do. And he can usually do it better than anybody else. So why not bottle that and sell it? Why give it away? What I find black people do when they do have a talent or they do have something that's extraordinary, they sell it off. They not only sell off the product, but they sell off the rights instead of keeping it and selling a piece at a time here, there and everywhere. So they've got a constant income. So what happens is they sell off their resources. Anything that they have of value, they sell it off. And then, you know, people, then they're having to buy it back when they need it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's no point saying, oh, you know, we're the depleted race, we're the poor race, when we have all the resources, we have everything we have to succeed, and yet we sell it because we put our focus on the short-term gain instead of long-term, which is what a lot of white people do. They have strategic aims. I remember when I was doing sociology and they said you can tell the difference between a black person and a white person. A black person is myopic. They think of the here and the now. They live each day as it comes and they forget about tomorrow. Whereas a white person, they think strategically. They think way down the line. And so that is, sometimes it can be an advantage thinking myopically, sometimes it's a disadvantage. A lot of the times it's a disadvantage because you're not securing what you have and you're not putting it in a place where it's benefiting you. And then you start crying about, oh, I don't have a job, or woe is me, woe is me. Everybody, every single individual has a talent. And you have to remember that nothing was here before somebody thought about it. Everything was created from an idea and people have made money from it. What do? As black people, you have an idea, you discuss it with goodness knows who, and then somebody else takes the idea from you and they sell it and they patent it and you're left with nothing. So one of the key things to survival is to examine yourself and your talents. What talents do you have? How can you bottle it and sell it instead of giving it away for nothing? You know, what is your well-being like? Your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being, your moral well-being. Are you nurturing that? Are you kind of nurturing it for the children and the young people growing up? Or are you just forgetting about it and thinking, oh, what the hell? Why should I bother? What about your customs and your culture? I hear a lot of people saying, oh, we don't have our culture was stolen from us. You can get it back. We still have, as West Indians, I'm a Jamaican. I'm a British Jamaican. But I'll still do my rice and peas on Sundays and my chicken and what have you. You know, and an African can still do their jollof rice and their peanut chicken. Trinidadians can still do their okra and their callaloo and whatever it is that you can still keep your traditions. Jamaicans still speak patois. That's not going to go anywhere. So why say we don't have a culture? We do. We need to nurture it. We need to not berate it. Like I remember my mother always used to say, don't speak Jamaican, don't speak Jamaican. It doesn't sound good. It's not going to get you anywhere. So it's them themselves who are negating their culture. No one's taking it away. They were ashamed of their culture because they put English on a pedestal or England on a pedestal, and that is what they strove to be like. And when they strove to be like, they put that at the expense of their own culture. So another art of survival is to maintain your culture. If you feel as though you don't have one, ask your mum, your auntie, your granny what they used to do, what kind of traditions they had, what clothes do they wear, are there any particular outfits that they used to enjoy wearing, what are their traditions? It's not that difficult. Another part of survival, let's think about the obstacles of survival. Because with everything, with every goal, with everything you want to do, there's always going to be obstacles. We have nature, don't we? You have the natural disasters. you have violence and crime. That can be an obstacle to what you want to achieve. The ego, that is such a massive obstacle, but that is one that you can control. Economics, money, that can be an obstacle, but like I said earlier, if you take charge of your resources and you nurture what you have and then bottle it and sell it, you'll have money. So that's not an excuse. It's no point going around feeling sorry for yourself and saying, oh, I haven't got this and I haven't got that, when you've got a wealth of talent within you that you can bottle and sell if you use a little creativity and imagination. What else is there? Yeah, let's think about preparing our young people for survival. A lot of us, as we've grown up, especially in the British society, grown up, you're polite, you say sorry when you don't have to, you're kind of the underdog in order to get through, and you teach your children to be honest and fair and diplomatic. But is that the real world? When they go out into the real world and they find that the world isn't fair, that it's biased, or they find that they're not being treated equally, and they whatever they strive to do, they're being knocked back down. What are you setting them up for? You're setting them up to fail. You need to be honest with your children. You need to say, okay, in this situation, you'll probably end up in this. Now, this might happen, but don't let that deter you. There's always other avenues. So you tell them about the real world, not the idealistic world that you'd like them to grow up in, which doesn't exist. And that will help them not to be so disillusioned and feel as though adults are liars, and then they go and rebel and do whatever they want because they don't trust you. So, what else is there? Self-governing. Yeah, self-governing. When I'm thinking about self-governing, I'm not thinking so much as a nation, because it would be good as a nation. There is this place in Mexico. What's the name of that one in Mexico? Have I written it down? As usual, I haven't. Anyway, there's a little country in Mexico. Where is it? Called Sharon, Michoacan. And they are self-governing, and they're celebrating 7 years of self-governing, which was in May of this year. We've also got the American Native Indians. They're working towards self-governing as well. And then we have the Aborigines in Canada who are working towards self-governance. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because all three were persecuted, exploited, their resources were taken away, and goodness knows what. And they decided to self-govern and, be the rulers of their own destiny. And what I'm saying is that each of us can look after ourselves, have a sense of purpose. I'm doing this. Well, I can't remember everything, can I? Have a sense of purpose, have a sense of autonomy, have the relevant knowledge, educate yourself to a degree that is relevant and appropriate. And so that you are prepared, and you prepare your children and you prepare your relatives to also be in a position where they're not always feeling like the victim. The art of survival is having the resources and having the wherewithal to manage those resources. And it's also about handing that down to your children. And in that way, hopefully you'll have a chance to be on a level playing field at some point in time. So that's all I've got to say. Bye-bye.